Hey guys and gals, welcome to this week's pre-foreclosure daily grind tip of the week. Chris the Drummer Bowles, Bob LaChance. Hopefully everyone's had a fantastic week. We got three things we're going to go over today. We got some good stuff. Number one, we're going to go over the fact that lenders right now are no longer paying for liens such as
mechanics liens, hospital liens,
credit card judgments, so on and so forth. But we're going to dig into that in a minute. But that's number one. That's one thing we're going to go over. Number two, we're going to go over a deal we had with PNC in reference to them basically saying that our file didn't exist even though we got a short sale accepted. It's kind of funny, but and we got some good tips along the lines of those and how to overcome that. Number three, why holding off on telling a lender if a buyer walked or if a buyer's financing, they're having trouble with buyer's financing, don't tell them right away. And we're going to give you an exact example of a situation that we went through and what you need to do to overcome that. It's extremely, extremely important. Number one, Chris, let's talk about the second or the deal with lenders no longer paying for hospital liens, so on and so forth, and which lenders in particular are no longer allowing that.
Right. Now, just to be clear, lenders are obviously, they'll still pay second mortgages. They'll still pay out for those. But what we've gotten from Wells Fargo, from Bank of America, from Chase, is that they're no longer going to pay personal liens, such as, like as Bob mentioned, mechanics lien or credit card judgment. We had the deal we were working on most recently. It was a lien with the state of Connecticut here, Social Services Department.
And there's no second mortgage on this deal. And we actually got the bank to net, I think it was $2,000 more, which would have covered the $1,700 that we negotiated down.
From $8,000, so yeah.
From $8,000, and they still said they wouldn't do it due to the fact they said their investor will not pay it. The investor will actually own that loan. Right. So just keep that in note. Make sure at the beginning everything is set and the expectations are set, like Chris does all the time. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, basically, I always let homeowners know, agents, everybody involved know that the homeowners expecting these kind of situations down the line, that the homeowners are going to want to make sure to keep their condo fees current, or HOA current, or any other loans maybe that they have, car loans, anything that could potentially...
Minimal credit card payments, hopefully they keep those up due to the fact that you don't want a last-second judgment put on title that's going to screw up the whole deal.
Right.
And also, make sure they let us know right up front if they're having challenges making those minimum payments, so we could at least talk to the buyer, tend to it, so and figure out where we're going to get that extra money just in case it happens.
Right.
That is huge. That's number one. All right, let's talk about PNC and the authorization situation we had.
Yeah, this was a fun one. It was a mixture between trying not to laugh out loud and absolutely bark this guy's head off. We had worked this entire short sale, gotten approval. We're within about hours of closing, and I go to call up the current negotiator to get the final HUD signed off on so we could close, and he told me that he didn't have authorization for me.
So we went through the whole short sale. They allowed us to start the short sale from start to finish, order BPOs, so on and so forth, negotiate back and forth, get a short sale acceptance letter, but when it came down to it, they said we really didn't have a file.
Not sure how that happened.
It was absolutely ridiculous. So the point is, you may be chuckling saying, of course you would call them up and put an authorization on file. However, we've had students that actually started the whole process over where they submitted an authorization, their whole short sale package, and everything. It may be common sense to actually call the negotiator and say, okay, what's your fax number? Let's put an authorization on file. But do yourself a favor, don't start the process over, because if you're dealing and talking to a customer service rep that's an absolute moron and they tell you to do this, don't do that. Steps you take, call the loss mitigator you're dealing with, say, okay, what is your direct fax number or email address? Scan it, scan an authorization, send it right in. The process is done.
Yeah, and you just got to keep pressing, basically, because 95, maybe 99% of the people you'll talk to at these banks are idiots. So
no offense if you're listening to this video and you're actually from the bank. Not you, the other person.
Just everyone else around you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's just the way it works. Number three, holding off on why you're not going to tell a lender if a buyer's financing has pretty much, or we thought that it blew up. Let's go over that situation. It's very important.
Yeah, this was a cool one because primarily because we did in fact close it and get it wrapped up, gotten paid on it here. We had a scenario where I got an email from the seller's attorney about 10:30 in the morning saying that the buyer's lender had declined them for their loan. And so basically, as everyone figured that, you know, this thing was dead, you know, decline, not going to get it. So, but being in situations like this before and having seen things change when you think that they're not, I decided to hold off. At least I was going to wait till at least give a full 24 hours before I told the negotiator, you know, where we were at. And lo and behold,
instead of just reacting,
right.
not thinking, but reacting and calling the lender right away and saying, listen, we're dead, we're done, close the file.
Right.
That's one good learning experience. I don't mean to cut you off, but that is huge. In the real estate business, do not just react. You have to actually take a step back and think about ways and solutions to the challenges that we come up with. Don't just react like that and think something's dead. You have to take a step back like Chris did and actually thought the whole process through before reacting.
Right. So basically at 10:30 in the morning I was told that the buyer was declined for their loan and gave it some time, and lo and behold, by about mid-afternoon, got another email back from the attorney saying that the buyer had called him and spoken to a manager at the lender that they were getting their loan from, yelled at him for probably about 20 minutes, and lo and behold was now approved for their loan, so we were back on track.
Well, typically, as you know, yelling doesn't really do anything in reference to you calling a bank and saying, hey, loan me the money. But what happened was this loan originator was an absolute knucklehead and actually filed the wrong paperwork. This was a solid buyer. Mm-hmm. So the buyer basically called the manager and said, listen, could you look over this file? Once he looked over this file, guess what? He was approved. He was a solid buyer.
Plus, they've been let along for nearly 2 months that everything was cool and they were qualified and everything was going to go, you know, come together. And so provided all the paperwork they were asked to provide and so on and so forth. So,
yeah. So anyway, never give up. These were some great tips. Also, check out Finer Solution, F-I-N-E-R solution.com. That's our small business workspace, email marketing, contact management, website management, domain management, everything. It's unbelievable. There's a free version of it. Check it out. Again, Chris the Drummer Bowes, Bob LaChance, getting back to this week's pre-foreclosure tip of the week.